Can Kenya de-radicalize militant Muslim youth? How a local program in Nairobi is helping combat a domestic threat. Fighting kidney disease with awareness and early detection. And automaker BMW celebrates its 100th anniversary with a glimpse of the future. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Tonight we begin in Kenya, where the terrorist group Al-Shabaab and Islamic State continue to lure young Muslims. To fight back, a local organization has launched a de-radicalization program to train imams to work with the affected youth. Lenny Rovaga has our report.
Jihad, as we have seen in this clip, does not...
Ramadan Aula leads two radicalized young men through a session talking about counter-narratives. Aula is the program manager at BRAVE, short for Building Resilience Against Violent Extremism. The program has reached 2,000 young Kenyans, some of them sent here by court order, some who signed up on their own. Clerics and imams can sign up for a 4-day session where they learn how to counter the message of radicals. One of the program's ads has caught attention nationwide.
In Somalia, terrorists are killing Muslims. In Kenya, they seek to kill non-Muslims to create animosity between faiths. Mandera, 22nd December 2015. Kenyan Muslims shield non-Muslims from violent extremist attacks. These brave Kenyans saved lives. They protected their neighbors.
Here in Pumwani, on the outskirts of Nairobi, is Riyadh Mosque. In 2013, a United Nations report linked one of its officials to terrorist funding. Imam Izzeddin Omar has been at the mosque for 5 years now. The BRAVE program trained him on how to detect and counter extremist leanings in his community.
Before these youth accept to be de-radicalized, it takes time, and you have to go step by step. Then there are those who are deeply radicalized, and changing them back is quite hard, but by Allah's grace, we manage eventually.
Abdul Mwangi is one of those youth. Mwangi attended sermons in other mosques where radical preachers called on people to embrace jihad or holy war. He shied away from that line of thought after going through the BRAVE program.
We were able to be told about the issue of the narratives. At least after there, alhamdulillah, what I can say, like for myself and my other youth, even if you tell me something that Quran says, yes, I will accept, but I will not do anything like doing implementation before I go back to the Quran and confirm for myself, or else I go to the Hadith or any other books that you might have been quoted.
So far, BRAVE has trained about 150 clerics and imams like Omar. But the founder of the program, Mustafa Ali, says some are still staying away due to fear of reprisal.
Many Kenyans, particularly the Muslims, have been intimidated by the violent extremist groups to such an extent that they don't want to talk about violent extremism. They don't want to talk about terrorism. Now, this intimidation is so intense in places like Mandera in northeastern Kenya.
De-radicalization programs are not new. Saudi Arabia has run a well-known program since 2004, but there is a lot of debate as to whether they actually work. Experts say root causes like unemployment must also be addressed.
Radicalization programs are dealing with symptoms rather than causes of the problem. The real question is simply what causes people, youth particularly, to move from being alienated, marginalized, and the like, to picking up weapons, in other words, becoming radicalized, to going off and to fight, to join terrorist groups or subversive groups, insurgent groups.
As prisons across Africa fill up with terror suspects, that's a question the continent can't afford to dismiss. Lenny Rovaga for VOA News, Nairobi.
Well, in the Middle East, Iraqi Kurdish Peshmerga forces are holding the front line against Islamic State terrorists in northern Iraq. Viewers Sharon Ben and Ali Javan Mardi visited the last Peshmerga base in Mahmur before the Islamic State territory begins and talked to the Kurdish troops about the upcoming battle for Mosul.
This base stands on the edge of the divide between Iraqi Kurdish forces and Islamic State. It is one of the staging points for the long-awaited battle for Mosul. Forces here are not buying into talk that IS is beginning to weaken. Major General Sirwan Barzani says Mosul will be a tough fight.
ISIS really, they are very dangerous. They have experience and they're using new technique, new technology, especially for the suicide bombs, for the remote control bombs. So they have experience, really. They are dangerous people.
Barzani is concerned that there are too many questions about the campaign that are still not answered.
So, it's not only to push Daesh back, you have to hold the land also. So I think at least they need 25,000 Iraqi army, at least for this operation, and almost 10,000 Peshmerga.
This is a familiar battlefield for this elder Peshmerga. Omar Mirhan has seen it all, and he too has questions.
Do you want the Iraqi army to take Mosul? Unless American ground troops and Peshmerga go there, I swear to God, they can't take Mosul.
But the final decision on when and how to move is playing out away from here, with Iraqi and U.S. officials still hammering out the battle plan. Sharon Bain with Ali Javan Mardi, Mahmur, Iraq.
European Union interior ministers are expressing reservations on Thursday over easing visa requirement for Turkey, a key element of a tentative deal with Ankara that Brussels and Germany hope will halt the mass influx of refugees and migrants to Europe. Austrian Interior Minister Johanna Milk-Leitner says the Balkan immigration route should remain closed after Slovenia, Macedonia, Serbia and Croatia closed borders this week to all migrants except those planning to seek asylum within their borders. Mikli-Leitner told the German daily Die Welt Thursday that the Balkan route through those countries should stay closed permanently, saying the clock will not be turned back. Meanwhile, Turkish news agencies say 5 migrants, including an infant, drowned off Turkey's western coast after a boat taking them to Greece sank on the way to the island of Lesbos. In an interview with VOA's Malina Djurdjic, U.S. Senator John McCain spoke about how America could help Serbia deal with the migrants issue.
Well, I hope that Serbia could receive assistance as far as the refugee situation is concerned, but overall, I would hope that we could provide economic development aid. After all, Serbia fought a very hotly contested conflict, and I hope that we could help in every way with the Europeans to facilitate European integration in the EU.
How do you see solving of the migrant crisis which is affecting Serbia, especially with closing the routes, with a deal between EU and Turkey, which many say are worried that it might actually hurt human rights of the refugees? How do you see that going forward, and how is the U.S. going to help with resolving that issue?
Honestly, I'm not sure how well we are handling it or can handle it. It's more of a European problem. We should help with humanitarian, with all of the other aspects of handling the crisis itself. But the source of the crisis, which of course we know is from Syria and other countries, including, by the way, a very large number of Afghans, is a result of the conflicts. And the United States' failure in Syria and Iraq has had a significant impact on the cause of the flow of refugees. If the United States had gotten rid of Bashar Assad and kept Iraq under control, we wouldn't be experiencing the refugee crisis that we are today. So therefore, it seems to me the United States should have an obligation to try to help out as much as possible with the results of our failures.
At the same time, NATO is accusing Russia of, as they say, weaponizing the migrant crisis in order to destabilize the European Union. What's your take on it?
General Breedlove, who is our military commander in Europe, testified before our committee that, yes, Russia is weaponizing the refugee crisis and attempting to break up the entire European Union, which is not beyond imagination. And again, the United States of America, by our failure to lead, allowed Russia into a position of influence in the Middle East for the first time since 1973, when Anwar Sadat threw the Russians out of Egypt. So the predominant influence now is in Syria is Russia, Hezbollah, Iran, and various other factions that are now dominating and establishing themselves in a way that it's very unlikely that Bashar Assad will ever leave anytime soon. This is one of the most serious crises that Europe and the United States have seen since the end of World War II.
Well, that was Arizona Senator John McCain speaking with VOA's Milena Jurjic about the European migrant issue. Now, about 600,000 people fleeing the Middle East for better lives have landed on the shores of the Greek island of Lesbos since the refugee crisis began. It is the first European stop on their intended journey to Western Europe. Dutch volunteers there are teaching migrants how to turn boats into backpacks. We learn more about the story from our colleagues at Radio Free Europe.
This boat material. It's the rubber from the boats the refugees arrive with on Lesbos. And, this is the straps from the life vests. Every life vest has at least two of those. Yeah. I saw the excessive amount of material that's left behind on the beaches, and me as a maker, I was extremely inspired to design a bag that's put together with the least effort, the least three tools actually. You need this plier, it's like 15 euros. You need a scissor. And you need this. I'm not sure what's the name in English, but so material-wise, because we upcycle the material, it's a bag is less than 2.5 euros probably. But vision, making it, designing it, working on it, it's effortless because we're having so much fun. It feels like this is the right thing for us to do. I can be here and help out and be useful in any place here, but now I can be here as a maker.
How cool is that?
Well, that report was filed by our colleagues at Radio Free Europe and Radio Free Liberty. We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Coming up, early detection and awareness, combating kidney disease in children. Stay with us.
What's new? It's called the Helix Cuff. It's a bracelet that hides a pair of Bluetooth earbuds that are really tiny headphones. In this age of what the tech industry calls wearables, the goal is to successfully combine fashion with function. Angela Pan is Ashley Close, CEO.
So we brought together a team of designers and engineers from Next, Nokia, and IBM to create Helix.
The Helix Cuff opens up to provide easy access to the earbuds that you pair with your smart devices via Bluetooth. The earbuds have short cables linking them to a small rectangular piece that hangs under the user's chin. This is the control center where the battery, Bluetooth antenna, microphone, and other hardware reside. Due to the small size of the earbuds, reviewers say sound quality could be an issue, and the battery lasts for only up to 3 hours. Ashley Close says the Helix Cuff should be on the market early this year for $199. For VOA's What's New, I'm Todd Grossman.
Where does the Zika virus come from and how many people around the world are affected? I am Dr. Ruiz. The Zika virus is an emerging mosquito-borne virus, and the World Health Organization has declared the Zika epidemic a global emergency. Over 20 countries have reported the disease, and there is no cure. Among the symptoms are fever, rash, and redness of the eyes. Anyone with symptoms should get plenty of rest, drink fluids, and treat symptoms with over-the-counter medicines. Learn the facts about Zika. Education is your first line of defense.
Welcome back. It's time for our Thursday Health Report. And joining us now is Africa 54 Health correspondent Lina Madu with news about kidney disease.
Well, March 10th is World Kidney Day. The Awareness Day focuses this year on children. The theme is Kidney Disease and Children. Act early to prevent it. Kidney disease affects millions of people worldwide, including many children who may be at risk at an early age. The kidneys are two bean-shaped organs that extract waste from blood, balance body fluids, form urine, and aid in other important functions of the body. Many forms of kidney disease do not produce symptoms until late in the course of the disease. Some warning signs of kidney disease include high blood pressure, more frequent urination, particularly at night, difficult or painful urination, puffiness around the eyes, swelling of hands and feet. Some kidney diseases can be treated successfully, but end-stage kidney disease can be defined by the requirement for life-saving dialysis or kidney transplantation. Joining us now in the studio for more on kidney disease is Iya Bikando, founder and CEO of the Iya Project and a kidney transplant recipient. Ms. Bikando, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So you were diagnosed at the age of 7 with kidney disease. Tell us what happened then. What made this diagnosis to be found?
Well, my mom, who was a registered nurse and was residing at the time in Cameroon, or natives of Cameroon, had woken up one morning with puffy eyes and edema in my stomach. And being that my mom is a nurse, she noticed that those were symptoms of something abnormal going on in my body. And so she took me to the hospital and got tested.
And that's when you got diagnosed. So what happened after that? Immediately, did you need dialysis? Were you put on treatment? What happened?
No. Fortunately, I was diagnosed very early on. And that's because my mom was able to pick up those very subtle symptoms right away. Okay. And so I was at stage 1 when I was diagnosed, and so my kidneys didn't fail until 10 years later. It was managed.
So moving forward 10 years, you were already in the United States. Were you here already when you had to undergo dialysis?
I had already started experiencing symptoms.
Okay.
So we decided that it was better that I travel abroad for better treatment.
Okay.
As soon as I got here, I was told that both my kidneys had failed. At that point.
What was that like to get this information?
It was a little bit of relief just because I was already experiencing a lot of symptoms and I was feeling very, very sick at this point. I was like at stage 5 already. My kidney functioning had, decreased to like a near 0, so I needed treatment. So when I was diagnosed as kidney failure and I needed to go on dialysis right away, it was a bit of relief to understand, to know that I finally know what's going on with me and I'm going to get the help that I needed to feel better.
Now, as an immigrant coming to find care, what kind of hurdles were you confronted with?
When I came here, I came on a medical visa.
Okay.
But that alone wasn't sufficient for me to get the treatment that I needed. So I had to apply for charity care. I had to apply for different aids to be able to get the treatment that I needed at the time. And I was undocumented, so it was a little bit of challenge. But thank God we're in America where I was able to get the treatment that I needed to get.
But it got to a point where you needed a transplant.
Yes.
How long after you started dialysis?
I was able to get my transplant 5 years later after I started dialysis. Okay. But I could have been able to get it right away because we had available living donors. But then again, because of my situation with the immigrant studies and finances, I couldn't get it right away. So I needed to raise money to be able to get the surgery that I needed.
This is an interesting point you just made, because a lot of time we hear this issue about being able to find donors, finding the right match. But you said that you had donors available, you didn't have the funds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My mom was more than willing, thank God for her, to be a donor. My family, I had other family members tested, but she was the best match for me at that point. So yes, I did have a willing donor.
Now, when you went through the surgery and you received the transplant from your mother, how did you feel after that? Did you experience any type of challenges after you received the kidney?
No, I have to say, for me, it was a night and day experience. Dialysis can be very torturous, and there were moments for me that it was very hard on my body and took a toll on my body. So when my transplanted kidney was placed, you know, it was a matter of hours that I started making urine, because while I was on dialysis, at some point, I wasn't making urine. So it was a matter of hours I started making urine, and I said, you feel better, so much better.
That's great. How long ago was this? How long ago did you get it?
It's going to be 11 years in September. September 6th is my 11-year anniversary.
And you're feeling great, and now what you're doing is trying to reach out to those who need help through your foundation, the EA project. Tell us about that.
So the EA project was born of me, and the EA Foundation was born out of the EA project.
Okay.
So when I was sick, when I came to the United States, I was also able to go to school. So I used to go to my community college, Middlesex County College, and I was part of a nonprofit, part of an organization, AmeriCorps. Mm-hmm. So there was one semester where I couldn't go back to school, and my mates reached out to me and asked what the problem was, and I was able to explain myself that it was because of my health. And so they helped me raise funds for me to be able to
get the care you need.
The care I needed.
Okay.
And when that project was started, it was called the EA Project.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and now we're running out of time, unfortunately, but quickly, on this World Kidney Day, what is your message? You're trying to help some people through your organization. What is your message today?
My message is that there is hope after diagnosis. There is hope. Kidney failure is not a death sentence. And I want people to understand that there is hope after diagnosis. And I want people who are healthy to take care of their kidneys, to get checked, to know their numbers. If you're diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, to take care of yourself and, you know, work with your doctors to make sure you're getting the right care that you need, you know. Okay. Stay compliant with your medicines and health care.
And we really wish you the best. We see that you're looking very healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, Iya.
Thank you
the best.
Thank you.
And that was Iya Bikondo. She is founder and CEO of the Iya Project. That's our Africa Health Report for today. Vincent?
Well, Lenore, thank you very much. Now, be sure to watch for Lenore Medus every Tuesday and Thursdays for the latest health news in Africa right here on Africa 54. It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, car lovers rejoice. The future is now in Munich. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Nigeria, oil workers began a nationwide strike protesting proposed restructuring of the National Petroleum Corporation. In Somalia, the Minister of Internal Security, Abdulrazak Omar Mohammed, says joint U.S.-Somali operation conducted a recent attack against extremists in the country. In South Africa, a woman appears in court on charges of kidnapping a newborn baby and raising it for 17 years. Finally, in Namibia, conservationists say fewer than 12,000 cheetahs still exist in the wild due to attacks by farmers protecting livestock and poachers. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Call it a sign of changing times. Cuba has been granting increasing rights to gay and transgender citizens in recent years after a period of persecution following the country's communist revolution. Drag artists are now free to perform at nightclubs in Havana, providing a safe and legal space for members of Cuba's LGBT community to gather. Drag performance enjoyed a golden age before the 1959 Cuban Revolution, but then fell out of favor. Homosexuals were persecuted for decades after the revolution, sometimes sent to grueling rural work camps along with others considered socially suspect by the communist government. Homosexuality was considered highly suspect along with other alternative forms of expression such as U.S. fashion trends and rock and roll. Well, next up in Munich, BMW's vision of automotive future unveiled during a ceremony to mark the company's 100th birthday at Munich's Olympic Hall. The Vision Next 100 offers a choice of driver-controlled or vehicle-controlled operations. In driver mode, the car indicates the ideal driving line and speed. In ease or autonomous mode, the steering wheel retracts and the driver and front seat passenger can turn to face each other. Designers primarily used fabrics made from recycled and renewable materials. Auto executives say that some elements of autonomous driving could begin being introduced around the end of this decade. Well, and finally, a Danish sportswear brand Hummel has unveiled its new jersey for the Afghanistan national soccer team, complete with a hijab for female players. The new red kit includes an integrated base layer, which allows women to be covered from head to toe when they take to the pitch. Football's global governing body, FIFA, lifted its ban on head covers in 2014, provided it is not attached to the shirt and is also the same color. The new uniforms were revealed to the public on International Women's Day, and that is what is trending today. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching from all of us in Washington. Have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Biting your nails is a bad habit, but can you figure out what this expression means?
Nail biter. I am so excited to watch the soccer game tonight.
I know! Both teams are really good.
I think it will be a real nail biter. It's probably going to come down to the final minutes.
A nail biter is something that causes stress or makes you feel nervous. Many people who are nervous do actually bite their nails, which is where this expression comes from. In our example, Jonathan guessed that the soccer game would be a nail biter and that no one would know who would win until the final moments of the game. And that's English in a Minute.